All right, so welcome everyone. Very excited to have you here this afternoon. Peter Boyd is here to talk to you about the plan, and I'm just going to make a few introductory remarks and share some ground rules before we get started. So we always like to start with a land acknowledgement to thank and acknowledge the Indigenous people and nations who have stewarded the lands and waterways that is now the state of Connecticut and that Yale is now based on. I also want to say that, Tsai CITY is here to serve our students and our community, and we hope that you really enjoy our events. If there are any things that you want to see in the future, or if you have feedback about how we can serve you better and be more inclusive, or bring you events that you're really interested in, please let us know. I'll be dropping a feedback link in the chat before the event ends, and we'd love to hear from you. So a few basic rules. Everyone knows the rules of Zoom, so try to keep yourself muted as we go. But if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or drop your question in the chat. I'll be helping moderate as the event goes on. And with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen and welcome Peter Boyd. Peter is a researcher, a lecturer at YSC, a mentor, an entrepreneur, and so many other things. Peter, you can share all the exciting details from here. So the floor is yours.
Thanks very much. Excellent. Let's get a view gallery so I can see everybody okay. There we go. Excellent. Excellent. Hi, everybody. Cool. So we've got, let's see, four of you. So Tony, Emily, Nicole, Tyler. Have I said all the right? Did I pronounce correctly? Excellent. Excellent. I'm going to share my screen. I've got some sort of polls to screen that might be fun, but just with four of us, it's almost quicker and more intimate to get your stories. But I'm just going to share my screen and maybe switch between my sort of normal format with the ability to speak with you guys more. I'm sort of got some cameras off. Oh, thanks, Ellen. So I've just had it on view, hide non-video. There we go. Got it. We got some more. I thank you very much, Ellen. I got more now. There we go. And I'm just going to share screen. Oh, I just need to be a co-host or something, and then I'm allowed. I'm just going to grab a piece of paper as well.
You should be all set now, Peter.
Okay, good to go. Let's see. There we go. That's it. That looks like looks like it good. That looks like it's worked. Excellent. Can everyone see my screen okay? Thumbs up, nods. Yep. Excellent. Excellent. Great. Okay. So this is for those that were, how many of you were with me the last session on the Innovators Toolkit on the path? Can you either do a thumbs up or a wave? Hands up? No. So all new overlap. Okay, and no overlap. Okay. Great. Thanks very much, Ellen, for the welcome. I've been working with Tsai CITY for a little bit now, and we've sort of co-created some welcome slides over time. So I've got very similar sort of slides, but always want to open up with like diversity of people and ideas, proven to breed innovation and excellence everywhere in the world, but especially on things like this workshop and all the things that Tsai CITY do. So bring everything that is your sort of dimensions of diversity to this. And inclusion and subtleties is like, if you need anything said or unsaid, please sort of message me in the chat so that I can make you feel welcome. And you've done the land already, which is awesome. Just for those that aren't in New Haven, I find the sort of nativeland.ca is a good one if you want to say where you now sit. That's a good spot to find sort of the appropriate recognition. And feel free to drop in the chat if you're not with sort of if you've just found or know already where you sit and it's not in New Haven and at Yale. I do like to use the chat function as we go throughout as well. So norms for me, sort of be yourself. We need all of you, especially if you want to kind of create a business and a venture. Be present, sort of respect each other. One screen, hopefully. Pen and paper would be great. Cameras on is also fantastic for me, but if you don't, for whatever other reason, totally fine. And the other quick sort of Zoom one, as the research shows, is go on the 3 dots and hide self-view. Then you are no longer sort of semi-judging yourself or worrying about how you look. You can just focus on the other people in the room and the screen. So that's a good one, sort of borne out by the research and a nice Zoom feature. And then just be kind. Lower the bar for yourself and everyone else. And so just in an hour, we're going to sort of introduce ourselves, strengthen our network of kindred spirits, hopefully, and then cover a sort of, as it says here, a flexible framework and a 10-page plan that can grow with your story and your venture. That's the idea. So hopefully you're in the right room for that. So I'm going to sort of go on to sort of people and context, get that sort of pieces introduced, a plan and a purpose and the why, and then the template itself, and then I'll finish with some thoughts on how to use it. Quite a bit to get going on. And you can probably get from me, I'm sort of speak with speed. So if I ever need to slow down, feel free to sort of say something slower, use the reactions, or put your hand up, or put something into the chat. That always helps me as we go. So just quick intro on me. I think you got it already from Ellen. I run my own company. I'm a threefold connection with Yale. Lecturer at the Yale School of the Environment, and in the School of Management, I do a course for the executive MBAs, and I'm a resident fellow at CBEY, Center of Business and Environment. And I've got experience across a bunch of different sectors. So hopefully there's a mixture of sectors in here and verticals and things like that of the things you guys want to start. So I've sort of hopped around a few things, and I'm jack of all trades, I suppose, master of none. So worked at McKinsey and Virgin for many years, and then helped start nonprofits, one for Richard Branson called the Carbon War Room, did a government task force in the UK. I jokingly put in this sort of fourth sector of sort of running across the Sahara in an ultra marathon, but I think I learned as much about leadership and how to set a vision and a clear goal and how to get there from that as I do with my other sectors. So that's me. I wanted to find out a bit more about you guys. The idea here is, if you can, Ben Saltoff's already started. I think he's maybe trying seeing if it's still on. Oh, and Kyle started ultra running. Thanks, and also Kyle, thanks for getting the chat function moving as well, so we can keep that in parallel. If you guys can text Boyd to 22333 and sort of use your cell phones. You can text into the screen with just sort of like, so I know who's sort of in the room and like what's the state of mind right now. So the other way to do it is to pull up a browser, polev.com/Boyd, and then you can start. You guys can all start talking to the screen, and then we can all see what sort of each other are thinking. So maybe if somebody can sort of see if that's working, it should work because the instructions are at the top, and that's always a good sign for me. So 22333 is in the to line, and then Boyd is in the message content, and then you're sort of set up and ready to talk to the screen. Is that working, anybody? Normally I see a sort of something starting to appear by now. There we go. Excellent, all in one word. So you can either make one massive word, like Chaldina did, from Miami and pumped. That was awesome. Or you can do it as 3 separate texts, and they come through like USA, energized, excited. Excellent, I'm glad it works. And if you like a word like that, like excited, then obviously it gets bigger as well. So it's a word cloud. And then last thought is you can also do what you call it, emojis as well, to sort of enhance the look of this word cloud. There we go. I got my first emoji. I can move on, and I've got nearly all of you, 10 results. most people have had a chance to go in here. I just wanted to. I think it's also useful for Tsai City's sort of knowledge and research and our own, like you guys, to see like is the questions that are coming next. Great. So that's got us going. Talking to the screen. Next one is then, would you identify yourself as one of these: a founder, an aspiring founder, a team member, hopefully of a founder, a potential team member, neither, just a learner. Okay, great. So lead result is people are off to the races with something. Then yeah, sort of a good third got some ideas in mind. Excellent. And then 10% could join. Next up, most useful and interesting to you is like helping craft the story on your slides, helping find each other, like other sort of fellow travelers, finding an opportunity more generally. Or finding an opportunity for this term. It's only one. Some of these are not so sort of applicable, given that you guys are you're founders of an idea already. There's potential team, finding an opportunity, helping craft my stories on the slides, and helping find fellow travelers. Okay. Okay, so I've got most of my contents on A, but with B and C being equally important, for those with an idea and those looking to help somebody else, is it more for, as it says there, while at Yale, or you're looking to do something beyond Yale, or you're not? I'd put it in B, is if you're not from Yale or you're from the community, and it's more than just a university thing. Why I'm asking this as well, especially in these conversations, if you do start to have conversations either within this community, this group here, or within the Tsai City community, it's really helpful for both the entrepreneur and the person that's chatting to be very clear on this topic. Great. So the idea that you have and that you want to work on, where does it fit? Okay. Excellent. So good mixture. Excellent. Love that part about Tsai City, drawing that. And then what stage are you at? This really helps us for both the aspiring founders, the founders, and indeed the people who want to that sort of join something. Okay, some very fresh ideas, and then things that have, but some people getting out there, starting to pitch and starting to write things down. Great. Oh, that was a wrong one there. There we go. I was saying, like, always interested in here on the pandemic and its effect on your idea. Has it affect? How does it affect your thinking? Has it actually sparked it, or is it interesting in a positive way? Great, good optimistic bunch. Hence this is completely consistent with the excited and pumped from the first slide. That you are sort of taking a primarily positive look on it. Now, because part of you said like networking with others, if you feel free now, if you could drop into the chat, just sort of like your name, the venture, like so just a very brief description. I'm here, I'm founding X, just so that if somebody sort of, just like Kyle's drawn to the ultra running, I then meet with Kyle afterwards, like just put something into the chat to introduce yourself, so that if nothing else, you can you know who to talk to straight after this. So feel free to sort of put that into the chat. We'll also, I think Ellen can maybe help me and nod if she can. We can save the chat and I can drop it. I can put it as a screen grab on the slide as well. That's a thumbs up from Ellen. So then in the PowerPoint slides, which you're going to get all of these, you'll also get a piece of whatever your intro is about yourself. We'll drop it here. So that'll help you all network afterwards as well. So feel free to do that as I continue. Excellent. So thanks, Kyle. High-tech fashion, great. Nicole, thanks. SM brewing a few initiatives. I like the word brewing. Alan, thanks very much for being part of this. Another ultra runner, cool. Feel free to put this in there. So as I say, it's hopefully useful not only to you, because hopefully somebody will be attracted to what you're doing, but also to others who are looking at that sort of stuff. Excellent. Keep those coming, please. That'd be great. Okay, and then in terms of what I want to do for the rest of the time is just bear in mind that I'm eager to use the analogy of like I'm going to provide some fairly simple scaffolding, but the important stuff and the exciting stuff is you guys, because you're effectively providing the building. So the scaffolding is not complicated. The complicated and the rich stuff that you're building is yours. So with that in mind, I just wanted to kind of quickly just go around the room. Is this like in terms of a plan, is this like, why bother with a plan? Why is it, what do you want a plan to do and why is a plan useful? Either put your hand up with the Zoom thing or just a physical hand's good or come off mute. Why do you think a plan is useful? Anyone want to start? Yeah, thanks, Tyler.
Yeah, I just think it can help give you a good starting point and structure to how to go forward with your idea.
Yep, starting point and structure. Yep, great. Anybody else?
Someone once told me during college that a dream without a plan is a hallucination. And I think
that's it. Yeah. I can't remember who's attributed that to, but I've definitely heard that. That's a good one. And Tony?
Yeah, I definitely like that quote. Without a plan, you can't really know where you're going. It's been said that a ship cannot even leave the harbor without a plan.
Yeah, you don't know where you're going. Awesome. Anyone else? Sounds good though, and we've only got an hour, so that's great. You guys are on it. Thanks for that. So like, why is it useful? Clear pathway, awesome. Roadmap to a vision, focus the team's energy, be realistic and time constrained goals, measuring progress, defining priorities, and then also attracting others, like attracting investors, attracting talent. So super important from that point of view. The key piece here is like, but I do say sort of like I do have a plan. So even sort of agile, sort of all that thinking, like let's just make it first and then sort of course correct as we go. Planning's in there in the agile cycle. And then on the MVP, I love this diagram as well. It's like when you're thinking about building something, is like if you've got that vision of that lovely old car on the right, it's just like being careful to plan to build in order. It's like, so don't build the wheels then the axle like the top row, because you're not going to be able to sell anything until the end. Whereas if you're building this sort of skateboard, then a bike, then a moped, then a car, you've got something sellable. And also what I like about the move from MVP, minimum viable product, to SLIC is simple, lovable, and complete. So the idea is like at each stage, the skateboard is simple, lovable, and complete. Like people still love skateboards, even though cars are around. So that idea of like, can you design your venture with that in mind of like, of going along the bottom row and planning to do so and not just the top. The other thing sort of that might be helpful to you is like, and this is some of the teaching that I do across the courses, is this sort of cross-sector, cross-life logic flow that I think is especially important for entrepreneurs, is this idea of like, know why you're here and why those around you are here. Then know what's important and be very clear of the destination of what's important. And then drive your actions from the first two and get it on a page whenever you can. That last little bit sounds sort of frivolous almost, but the importance of seeing everything on a page so that you can infect others with your enthusiasm after you've infected yourself with your own enthusiasm and focus, it's immensely important. So I kind of translate those into a model of sort of 4 Ps of purpose, priorities, potential, and performance, with the idea that you're as strong as an entrepreneur as your weakest of these fibers. So try and be almost like constant and intentional across, why am I doing this? What's my, so what's my vision and mission for the company, etc. What are my priorities? Where do I need to be in 3 months, a year, 5 years? And then, am I actually performing? Am I holding myself to account across all sort of each of those? And so that idea of like questioning and confirming purpose, clarifying and personalizing priorities, having a vivid vision of the future, and then connecting that on a page is the strength of this. So in terms of the why, the purpose, I think you guys have done some great quotes already when I was asking for some opinions here. I like this one: the 2 most important days in your life, the day you're born and the day you find out why. But sort of why, find out why, especially for a startup like you guys are considering here, is like it really sets the kind of the North Star, like where you're heading. And then you're here trying to get there. And then it's sort of almost like the decisions you have to make are in that box of, no matter what sector you're in and what you're trying to make, is like time passes, and time passes for everyone. And you have to choose what to do, the tasks, and the talent and the treasure, or the people and the budget to put towards that. So if you don't get clear on your purpose, then you basically, you don't know the dimensions of your box. You don't know where you're heading and how you're heading to it. So with that in mind, 1 or 2 of you might have been on a workshop before with me, sort of exploring personal purpose, but this is like almost like with you in mind, with the venture that you are thinking about creating or starting. I got a sort of a purpose worksheet that I can leave you with, but I just wanted to give you a couple of minutes now to get a start on, to anchor you on the sort of, why are you starting this? The anchoring of your purpose is so important when you are creating your plan and creating your venture. So here's the pieces that I'd love you, if you've got a piece of pen and paper, feel free to just split it into 3, like my sheet of paper here. And have a think, and like name and date. If you've done something like this before, either with me, for somebody else, sort of it's a new date, it's a new time. So have a think about why, sort of basically the why behind the venture. So if you can have a look at, like, the first one is your fork. Like, you're at a fork in the road, almost certainly, like we all are. So what is your fork, and why are you here? So 1A, excuse me, why did you decide to be here at this fork in the road? Why did you choose to be at this fork? Like, come to Yale, maybe, start this venture, and more generally, like, come to this, sort of come here. Excuse me. 1B, why do you think you're a good person to be at this fork in the road? Like, what attributes have you brought to this fork? And especially as a startup, is this like what have you got in your knapsack of skills and attributes that you are bringing to this? Number 2 is your horizons. It's like, have a think, like artificially long and then artificially short. Idea of 2A, why are you excited about where you could be with this venture in 5 to 10 years time? Not like a revenue number or like a number of employees. I'm more thinking, why are you excited about the 5 to 10 year you doing what you're thinking about doing? 2B, if you knew you only had a few months left, like on this venture, you could even be more dramatic, on the planet, what would you ensure gets done and why? So if you only had a few months to set it up and then give it to somebody else, say, what would you ensure gets done? And then the last one, number 3 on the right-hand side, your inner engine, the bit that you can't help but be you. When are you in flow? What activities cause you to forget to eat and drink, or at least if you always eat, so lose track of time? And if you can, think of 3A1, a work example, a play example, and back in childhood. And then 3B, the last big question, why are you here on the earth? Like, as Mary Oliver said, what are you going to do with your one wild and precious life? And it may well be your startup idea as one of them. So what I'd like you to do is just to spend a little bit of a few minutes just on your own, jotting the answers to those 3 questions that have obviously got 2 parts. So have a go at that now if you can. I'll leave the big one up at the here. Okay, and since it's just a half hour, I know you probably not got enough time to finish it, but I'm just wondering if even just looking at those questions, maybe circle the question that's causing you to think about something interesting or write something interesting down, and maybe pop it into the chat. What is the question there that's getting you thinking about your startup? The horizon question A. Thanks, Kyle. Anyone else? 2B. So that's the horizon, but the short horizon. And thanks, Tyler, for the intro. We'll reconnect that with the intros in the other slide. Thank you for that. Keep them coming as well for people as well. 2B. Yep. Thanks very much, because it's easy to overthink and get stuck in future mode. Excellent. Great. So you shared that. So again, so keen to put this in here for all founders, and in the templates that I will give Ellen for distribution as well. Those questions, those questions will be there for you to sync. If you've got co-founders, I think they're really good to share with co-founders as well. And so feel free to compare notes with people here, maybe offline, if you're going to sort of see somebody here to chat with, or your own sort of friends and ecosystem around your startup, and refine them as you think you need. The interesting thing is that you can compare it also with a concept called the Ikigai. You can Google this. It's basically the intersect of what you love, what you can be paid for, what the world needs, and what you're good at, which is actually a really nice concept when you're thinking about a venture as well. So before I go on to sort of almost like the vision and mission of the company or the venture, I just wanted to sort of quickly tell you like why I sort of put those questions in as I did. The key thing about the sort of the 1A is like, hopefully this is your anchor. Like this is almost like, this is why you chose to be here with the startup at Yale. It's just like, come back to that in times of sort of storms. And when you're comparing with co-founders and potential team members, it's like, look, I'm always looking for similarity and complementarity in teams there on that. On 1B, it's like the boost, the pitch. It's this like, you're good at these things. You brought them, you could and should be a founder or a member of a team. It's this like, come back to those things that you know you can bring. But I'm looking for differences on 1B, like in a team. You want to bring different things in order to have a sort of a varied team. On 2A, so 2A and 2B seem to win in the chat function in terms of causing you to think of something interesting. 2A is like keeping your eye on the prize. Like, is your current actions building towards your view of the future and being excited about that? And there's potentially useful words in there for a vision and a mission. And then on 2B, as somebody said there, it gets you, it's easy to overthink and get stuck in just like either lofty future mode, but also not on the important stuff. Sometimes people get caught on the urgent stuff. And whatever you wrote in 2B is probably really important for your venture. And then 3A, and it's sort of split into those key parts, is hopefully your startup involves you doing 3A1, because that's the thing that gets you fired up. And then hopefully your calendar has enough time for recharging, which is 3A2. And then that last one about childhood, I don't know what you put in there, whether, and feel free to put it into the chat, whether it was like going cycling or building Lego or jumping off a cliff into the ocean, whatever you did as a kid. It's a fantastic and really strong analogy to think of your new venture. But don't do it so think about it like in that terms, like I love jumping off cliffs into the sea. It's like that's it. That's what this new venture is. It's a very strong place to go, whatever you were in flow, that analogy of whatever you were in flow as a kid. And then 3B is just hopefully like your vision and your mission and even your business that you're thinking about is sort of aligned to sort of in part to why you're here. So that's the idea, and what you want to be able to do, hopefully, is you're going to kind of come to sort of sort of this becomes one and the same. Like your personal purpose and sort of your vision and mission for your company is one and the same. And so, for instance, I'm excited to be here because my vision is that like everyone can see their path to great work, and my mission is to help leaders build purpose-driven paths to that work and lift sights and spirits and skills to get there. So workshops like this is exactly what sort of I love to do, and it's all sort of connected, as I hope your vision and mission will be with your why. And just kind of continually evolve your story on your why. It's always worth coming back to that purpose, and also questioning new partners and friends on this. As it says there, no one ventures into the same river twice. It's not the same river, and it's not the same person. So I spend, I'll say, like half the time just thinking like this, making sure that whatever you're doing here, entrepreneurialism is super tough. It's a tough world out there. So the idea is that you are grounded and safely connected and really have thought about your purpose is more important. It's also the key part of the plan in terms of a template forum. So it's more than just a strength that you can go to. It's actually what other people are going to want to see in your plan. So with that in mind, I want to sort of switch to the sort of the back half, which is like the template itself, and then I'll close with sort of thoughts on how to use it. Before I do that, is there any questions on that piece of sort of anchoring to your personal purpose and why? Or will just all good to kind of keep continuing? Feel free to do a yellow Zoom thumb on the reactions, or ticks or whatever. Chalina, thanks very much. Tyler, thanks. So we're tracking. And again, any questions, I'll try and keep an eye on chat as well, Ellen, if there's anything else that I'm missing. Great. Okay, so so 2 of the 10 slides of the plan, in a sense, I suppose we've kind of done already. So it's like title page and vision and mission. But this is the idea. The idea is this, like over time, helping startups both in Yale and growth stage companies outside Yale, I sort of keep gathering like what's the best and keep continually recurring slides that keep coming up. That are, as I say, like great scaffolding, and then a variety of businesses can sort of build within them, and that's what we're coming to. But two thoughts before that. One is that you can actually put it on a 1-page plan when you're done, and even before you start your 10-page plan, is that can you get your strategy on a page? And here's a classic strategy template, which I think is a really good forcing mechanism for that thought. The idea of like your vision and your mission at the very top. This is why you get up in the morning. This is what you're doing. Then the rocks are the key priorities. Like if you had to put rocks in a jar, then pebbles, then sand. Like the big things that you have to get done for your business. What are those key priorities? Skip a level for now to say like, and what results do you really want from that? And then the strategies to get there is that middle layer. And then all this stuff is underpinned by the values and norms, the way you want to run your business, the way you want to behave, and you want to have people around you behaving. These are all vital lines. And if you can actually get them into a summary like this, it's hard to do. But this is a continually evolving direction that can serve you well. You probably wouldn't present this sort of outside your company much, other than to mentors and to staff, etc. But it's very powerful for you in terms of getting your plan on a page. And then the other thought is like I'm going to give you like the 10 slides in an order. I'm going to go like this, 1 to 10. But you might say like no, my order, my preferred order, say for a particular venture capitalist, or the way that I think about the world, or my idea is this. Then feel free to sort of put them in your own order. I don't want to sort of specify 1 to 10 in a specific order. It's like create your own story. But typically these stories will start with the goal, the vision and the mission, and end with like, well, so where are you at right now, the 1 and 10? But then how you knit the story in between, feel free to sort of poetic license with what I've got here. Also, if you've got any changes or updates, that's where this plan has come from, is people like you sort of suggesting little changes and suggesting I've done this with this. So I'm grateful in advance for anything that you want to give to me. So with that in mind, let's go through these these slides one by one. First one is the title. Excuse me. Key piece here, obviously, don't know how many of you have got the sort of the name. I think 00. So is it Kyle? So you've got your name, the name of the company already, but some of you might have the idea, but not the name yet. So don't fixate on it, but like big title, big name, it makes you proud to sort of start the deck. Create a version of this deck where the audience is just you. As in the idea is this, like the dirty laundry and the bits that you don't know yet are all in here. And then you can always spin out and save as and create a more polished or cut down version for other audiences. But you've got one hub version, which is all the things that you want to create in one plan. And then everyone always wants to see, you know, just about the CEO founder name and email at the front, the kind of the contacts. Then the first one, we've been talking about this, and I think this is just almost like the most important one on the slide, is just like the goal. Like, what are you trying to do and why do you exist as a company? So this splits typically between a vision and mission, but it may not. You may just have one purpose statement. But the idea is like, to the extent this is helpful to you, the common ways of differentiating what I think is helpful between a vision and a mission. The vision is the world state when you and others like you are successful. It's so big, it's bigger than you, but can you make it feel possible, even inevitable? Like, as I don't know, sustainable transport or climate change solved, or sort of environmental justice, whatever it is, it can be super big, but it's just like, it is the reason you get up in the morning. And then the mission is your underlying purpose, what your chosen path is to help that vision become closer to reality. What are you going to do? And if it's good enough, it's almost like it's like tight and implies what you don't do, not just what you do. And then so oops, sorry, went the wrong way. There we go. And then I've said here this, and you can have all these notes in your template to delete later. But the idea is it's like, try and get as short as you can here. There's a suggested 3 to 15 word range on your vision and mission. So get super tight, no wasted words. 3 words comes from Guy Kawasaki, who says you don't need a vision, a purpose statement, you need a mantra. Like something super short to remember. Chris Anderson doesn't let anyone have a TED Talk unless you submit in 15 words or less the reason that somebody would watch your TED Talk. And that 15 word is like a gating item. Like you don't get in unless you've got the reason in 15 words or less. So try and think about that, those pieces, and it's harder to do, and it's almost like you're constantly revisiting this in terms of sort of how to get it right. So in terms of quick question here, is like what do you want? What is useful for a vision and mission? Like, what do you want a vision and mission to do? Tyler or Lavanya?
Oh yeah, sorry. I guess it would be to have the audience understand immediately, what I'm out here to do, and understand the purpose of my organization or my mission in life. Basically, all my thoughts, passion, everything is just transmitted, almost telepathically through those words.
I love that. That's a great one. So what did you say? Purpose and everything transmitted. Is that right?
Yeah, transmitted almost telepathically, actually.
Yeah. Excellent. Anyone else? What else
To
do you want
inspire your team and to people you're pitching to?
Team and those you pitch. Yeah. Yep.
Like a guidepost throughout the whole process to measure yourself against.
Yeah, guide, and some great words in here. Guidepost, yeah, and telepathic and inspire. Yep. Excellent. For the sake of time, because I want to make sure I get my content across to you before 5:30 and get these pieces done. Excellent stuff. Yeah, inspire, challenge, unite as well. Like attract talent, attract investors, explain, build, focus. But you guys got it. You guys got it all. As a potential worksheet here, and we don't have time to do it now, but I think what is worth it, if you like going to pen and paper first, is like sketching out those pieces, the 3 separate elements there that I suggest on that slide: the vision, the big world state, the mission, your underlying purpose, and then what kind of compelling visual could you put behind that? I don't know if you put mine as like, I get inspired by a pathway, like through a forest, or the scaffolding or the building. You might kind of have a visual that sort of really speaks to what your business does, or your venture. So have a think about this, and again, this will be in the PowerPoint that you can sort of refer to at the end. But probably the most important slide, I think, of a 10-slide deck is getting this right. And you'll almost be frustrating. It'll take a while to get there before you're sort of happy with your vision and your mission. Second one is then the challenge, like the problem we're solving. You know, like take time to say like why do we exist? Because this doesn't, because this problem is now currently in place. So I'll split this into two. Think of the micro. Sometimes you might have a target customer, like say the fashion brand, for instance. It's like what's wrong with, you know, sort of my approach, you know, sort of to fashion, like why am I suffering right now? What's my micro problem as a customer? And then macro, the consequences of lots of customers in this situation. Say like you know, sort of customer can't find sustainable clothing, or sustainability meets fashion. Macro, there's lots of people that are in that boat. It's this many people, or it's this. It's like the consequences are disastrous for the planet, or whatever it is. But the idea of the micro problem facing one of your customers, and the macro, the consequence of that happening at scale. Then the third one is typically like the solution. Like, how does it work? Like, how does somebody engage with your thing? What does it do for a key target customer? But you might also do it, say, for a supplier. If you're a marketplace, you might do a two-sided one, like the demand of the market, the supply of the market. It's really helpful here. It's like, can you get this into 3 or 4 steps? Airbnb, sort of, you know, sort of a very complicated business, and obviously a high sort of value business. It's immensely complicated legally to sort of, you know, rent out part of your home to somebody else. There's 45 pages of terms and conditions, but for both sides of it, they get it down to like, this is how you do it: 1, 2, 3. And so that idea of like, can you simplify what you're doing into quite a simple process for those that want to engage? And a pic or an icon, if it's an app, can you sort of show what it looks like, etc. 4, you all have competition. And even if you're a nonprofit, which a good third of you are, you've got a context, you've got a landscape that you operate in. So what gives you space and freedom to operate? What makes you unique in your landscape? And if you have IP, feel free to suggest it here as well. But the key thing here that I'm suggesting is there's 2 ways that you can get across this competition. And you got to show that typically you have to show that you are aware of this landscape. The first one is like, define A and define B such that you are top right. You are the only one there. And it could be something like, and there was one person in your shoes a few years ago that wanted to take on Facebook. And so, but she said small and friendly and curated. And so therefore she was top right and Facebook was bottom left. So what I'm saying is, as an entrepreneur, it's like you've got the liberty to name A and B, which is the way that you show this is the white space where only I am the best and I am in here. But you name A and B, you name the axes, and then you put your other competitors or your other people on that chart. They're only A or only B or neither. And it shows how clearly you are sort of out in front on what you're trying to say. The other way to do it is you might say, actually, there's 5 things that I am going to be brilliant at, so I need a table instead. And how many times have you seen this on the internet in terms of like, here's my software as a service, and here's the 5 things I do, and you know, sort of how bad the others are. So either way of these works well. You might want to try both, and then sort of for different audiences, present it to different in a different way. Next one up is market validation, basically saying like, how big is your market? Validate the space that you're in. Describe the trends that make there. Like, so what market do you operate in? You get across an awful lot of information here about how well you know the market, by how well you do this slide. There's a classic example here, is it's called a TAM, SAM, SOM, the total available market. Like, how big is the market? I don't know, people in the USA. SAM, you know, like based on your current business model, is the segmented addressable market, say males. And then share of market, I want 19 to 24s in Connecticut. But that idea of like give people a size of like how big could this market be, and why now as well. That's always a good thing for this slide. next up, 6 out of 10 is or in the way that I'm presenting it, but not necessarily you, is the business model. It's like, how is your thing designed to be sustainable? Again, doesn't matter if it's non-profit or for-profit, you'll need a sort of a financial sustainability sort of case to be made. What's the flow of money? Who pays you for what? This typically starts as a whiteboard somewhere, and you're just working out, how does the money work in this business, and how am I going to make my margin? Fashion's a really interesting one about sort of the cost of the inputs, the distribution, how are you going to distribute, etc. Like, where do you make your money, and how does it work? 7, going to market. Like that's it. It's made. How are you going to be famous? And I love this this one from Seth Godin. It said like, how do you make your product remarkable, as in able to be remarked upon? Like, how will customers basically sell your product to other customers as well? And this could be like a summary, just a one-page summary of a separate marketing plan, might be more detailed, but like, how are you going to be famous with those that you need to be famous with? Number 8 is the team. Now, the interesting piece here is like, a lot of you are either new founders, it sounds like from the graphs, or I've got an idea, 35% of you, I've got an idea, but I don't have a team yet, or I haven't written anything down yet. I'm just starting to pitch. But don't be deterred by not creating a slide like this. You can, even if you're a solo founder. And what I mean by that is think of yourself as part of an hourglass, sort of not a pyramid. So you're probably doing this with the support and mentorship of a few people that know more than you about the thing you're in. So who are those people? And could they be an advisor? And put them on there. Ask their permission. This is absolutely critical. I'm wondering if I could list you as an advisor for my company. And it doesn't have to be advisory board. You don't have to connote like there's a lot of stuff to do here, or there's a lot of hours. But as an advisor, I just like to sort of list you as somebody that I go to. Is that okay? And maybe show them your team slide. The great thing about this is it shows, obviously, you're more than what you are. Like you might just be one person, but look at the people and the expertise that are behind me. I'm also aware of my weaknesses. Look at the skills of the people that I've chosen to be my advisors. And many of those might be around your ecosystem right now. People in Tsai City, mentors and residents at Tsai City, and people like me and other faculty that are in and around Yale. We're often say, yes, absolutely, put me down there. You're doing a great thing. Love what you're doing. We don't have a lot of time to maybe support you, but we might want to sort of lend a name and support. The other one is to look down, is don't just think of it as, well, I don't have any employees yet, therefore I can't put an org chart. Maybe show me as an audience, where would you want to hire first, second, third? You might have some volunteers, you might have some interns and partners. So you could actually fill this out, even though you're one person with an idea and a PowerPoint. And then number 9 out of 10, we're almost there, is just to say so finance. And again, I don't spend long on this because there's some other great courses around Tsai City on storytelling with spreadsheets and things like that. I was the storytelling with slides part of that, but I think there's some Excel tools, School of Management, and other places like we'll give you some stuff on business modeling as well. Even if you don't do business modeling, don't worry about it. Don't be deterred. You still need a spreadsheet. You still need to work out what am I doing on the top line? How am I driving the people in that I'm supposed to serve? And how does that drive some sort of income? And then in expenses, understand how your expenses are built up and what are you going to need to spend money on. So you're not communicating necessarily to the audience, especially in the early stage, how brilliant you are at financial modeling. You're more communicating, I understand my business and what it will take to succeed. So make sure that you put in the working, like, for instance, the key drivers to your income, like number of customers, number of outlets, etc. Not just the kind of, I'm going to get to 100,000, 250,000, and then 1 million by year 3. It's just like, show how this is built up and assumptions. The other way you can do it is say, I don't want people to focus like an Excel sheet. You could do more of a pictorial thing like the one on the right. Like here's my beta phase. It has this many customers. Here's my full launch phase. It has 10. And here's my international growth. It has 100. And just tell a bit more of a story with some key variables. And then the last one, which I think is almost like just as important as the first one, like if it's the thing of like the bookends, I think are the most important, is like, can you show that you really know the priorities to drive your business and that you're getting traction? I'm not wedded to this format. It doesn't have to be a table. It can be sort of an arrow or something more beautiful, but just for you to know, it's like, here are my key areas of my business. They will always be this. Say you're a marketplace business. So it's like, it's the online platform, it's the buyers, it's the sellers, and it's my team. It's like those 4 things I will need when I'm a $100 million business as well as a $0 business. I need to fixate on those things. To communicate, you know what your big things are. You know you're getting decent traction, your progress to date, and you know what you're going to do next. It can be quite a rich and dense slide, but it's immensely good for you and your team to know this, and also for investors and philanthropists and everyone else. It is sort of whatever format you choose to do with this and develop it, it's a really important slide that shows you're getting traction. And if they come along, you can get even further. And that's the 10 slides. I recommend finishing with like just a clear call to action, maybe a restatement of the investment thesis, a logo, a compelling visual, etc. Before I go on, is there any particular sort of questions? I've got about 6 minutes and about 2 other minutes of comments on how to use this. But any questions on any of that 1 to 10?
General question. I don't know if you already stated this, but will you be sharing these slides?
Yes, so not only sharing the slides, I'll also share a downloadable template as well. So the slides will be like a viewable URL. You can just click through it and say, oh, that's what we talked about. And then the PowerPoint template, you can download the whole template and play with it and make it your own. And as I say, if you play with it like drastically, then send it back to me so I can see what you've done with it, and I can maybe help others that come behind you. So yes, all that will happen, and I'll work with Ellen on that. So I just want to maybe close just to make sure that those that have to go hard on 5:30 can go, and I'll certainly be around. Let's go back to sort of the idea of like thoughts on how to use this, and sort of almost like back to the scaffolding. It's like what are the things that, like, almost irrespective of what you're building, what's potentially useful here. One of the things I think is like just basic stuff like how to file your plan and your pitch. This is like say it's in your Finder, or if it's in Google Drive. I always recommend like a folder for your plan, a dedicated folder. It seems obvious, but then keep like the most recent version up there and really visible to you. And if you're working as a team collaboratively, you all know what the most recent version is. And then any archive in old versions, well, there's the archive. And then to the extent that this is the internal one that's the hub, and you are saving as and creating little decks for different customers and philanthropists and investors, they can go into versions for others, like either a deck version, or you have to create a Word memo or whatever it is. What I've done here for, say, on mine as an example, is like I've clearly said the plan X is like the external one, and then the plan for me is the internal one, and then the kind of first principles one is like, it's like back when I launched it, you know, like keeping on mind like what files do I really want to see, and then which ones do I want to have access to, and kind of being disciplined on your version control. That piece, that really idea of like the hub and spoke, the idea of like that there's one in the hub that is always your like latest and greatest thinking, however messy that thinking is, and then you save as versions to fellow founders, potential partners, and that might in turn improve the core version, and you kind of keep going on that sort of hub and spoke way. The other thing to have a think about is how do you disseminate this stuff? Keep control of your material. I use DocSend. You're going to find that. I'm use DocSend for these slides to Nicole's question. I'm going to use, for instance, a view-only version for this presentation, but then a downloadable version for the template. And you can do that with your pitches as well. You can send the pitch and do it as a downloadable or viewable only. And you can also keep track of how many people view. For instance, my presentation to leaders, that one there, was visited 514 times. So you know how many people are visiting. And even better than that, Brian Jacob clicks on it, and I know that he viewed the whole thing 100%, and it took him 2 minutes 12 to do it. And I can click on stats and see which slides did he spend more time on. So the great thing about that is when I go to chat with Brian, I know how much he's engaged with my material, and I can go straight to a great conversation. And also I know how to nudge him if he hasn't read it yet, and you know, like there's a meeting coming up. So that's a really good example of dissemination. The other bit is clone your intro. Once you get moving and hustling on this stuff, you're going to be sending out an awful lot of emails. Try and work out what you say all the time and clone it. You can use Evernote. So for instance, a copy and paste, like here is my intro with the link to a 3-minute PowerPoint intro, which I know is 3 minutes because Brian and others take about 2 to 3 minutes. So I can say, here's my 3-minute PowerPoint intro, and you copy and paste that paragraph and drop it in, and you can really speed up getting out there and hustling. And then this other bit is the keyword stuff. Like if I do a semicolon and then this, then I'm going to send these, these documents to these people. It pulls up with these short links. So get into like, how can I code this stuff? And then the final thought really is just to kind of sort of connect back to that sort of idea of like your purpose, like why are you here? That is going to give you strength, and you're going to be infectious and infectiously good at this stuff if that can breathe through all 10 of those slides. There's way more resources in terms of people and other points to do on the Tsai City website on any of the stuff that sort of I might have breezed across on. But hopefully that's a sort of a 1-hour taster on the plan. And then there's as I say, the slides, the 10-page plan template is actually there. I've created a bit link for you, but I'll drop all these things into an email to Ellen as well at the end. Is there anything else? I know there's a feedback one that's gone in there, but I'm hanging around here at 5:29. Very happy to stick around if there's any other questions, specific or general, or sort of experience or anything else. Thank you for your time.
I just wanted to thank you, Peter, because I always run into this problem of having, making multiple slide decks for different people, and then the original one is not there anymore. And some slides are missing and some, while, depending on what each one wants. So this is very sort of insightful and useful information, in fact, that, have something for you as an audience. So that's, I don't know, it's sort of a point which I really find is applicable to me. So thank you for that.
That's so great. Yeah. So you could almost like arrange your folders like that, like the kind of the one that's you as an audience is at the center, and then the different folders can go off from that. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Anyone else with a question or comment? Yeah, Tyler. Oh, that's just a wave. It's just like, it wasn't a hand up. It was like, yeah, I'm done. Like, okay, great. Nice to meet you.
Just one question, Peter. Would it be okay if I send my pitch deck for you to go through once and just share your opinion?
Sure. Yes. There's actually I've got some office hours via CBEY. So especially on sort of social environmental pitches, I'm almost like paid a little by CBEY to be there for that. So happy to do that. And I'm better in real time, just sort of reacting, but do feel free to send, but then you might need to nudge me if the email drops below the fold. But on the CBEY website, I think you can actually click on it and get to my office hours as well.
CBEY, is it?
Yeah, CBEY. Yeah, it's okay. I'm just putting it in the title here. CBEY is a great partner for Tsai City. They work together a lot. Ben Saltoff is another sort of person that hops between the two worlds of CBEY and Tsai City. So yes, you can find me there quite easily.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Lavanya, and all the best with your venture.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Emily.
Yeah, thank you. This was like so good and actionable. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Great. The template I managed to get into the chat. The slides, in terms of some of the other stuff I've done, I'll make sure I'll get that longer link to Ellen to distribute.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Much appreciated.